Funding for this program provided in part by the Sanibel Captiva Chamber of Commerce and by Captiva Cruises.
Hello everyone, I'm Bob Fagan. Welcome to beautiful Captiva Island. This is the chapel by the sea, and I'm going to be painting a picture of this. So sit back, relax, let's have some fun today. Well, here we are. Found a nice, pretty little quiet spot to set up and paint this pretty little church over here. This is the chapel by the sea. It's on Captiva Island. And we have clouds kind of meandering by, so this is going to be, once in a while it'll be in the light, and then sometimes it'll be in behind the cloud cover. So what I want to paint is I want to show that real light portion right up here at the top part of this church. Everything else is going to be pretty much in the shade except for some areas down here on the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up some of this stuff I already have in a palette here. This is French blue and burnt sienna. Now I'm just going to kind of slop this on. This is actually just the shadowed part of the church, so it really doesn't matter a lot. I'm going to go ahead and paint on the trees, and I'm just going to kind of slop it on right now. A little more blue on that. All down in here. Something kind of like that. A few little spots here and there. The rest of this is just in the shade. Now there are some shady areas down here on the ground too, so I'll kind of paint around those. People see me do this, it scares them to death. Kind of scares me too, you know. Just have to think shadows. I'm going to throw a little bit of yellow in that here and there, just for some variation. Maybe throw a little bit of red in it. Actually, all this back in here is in the shade too. Even this part right back here. That's all shade. All right. Now I realize that looks pretty sloppy right now. It looks pretty sloppy to me too. Trust me, after this all dries, what I'll do is come back and start adding some trees to show the shape of the church, and then some darker trees over here, and just generally get a little bit darker as I go. Right now what I want to do is let all this dry completely, and then come back and start on that. So I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, I'm back, and this is, it's pretty well dry, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on the trees around the side of the church. Now that'll make that church pop out from where it is right now. Right now it looks like I spilled paint on this thing, and that's pretty much what I did. So I'm going to mix up some of this green color back here. Start off with a little yellow, so I can kind of see where I'm going here. I'm just going to mixing that up with some of the stuff I already have in the palette, some of that blue. Now I'm going to make the top part of the trees just kind of a dry brush in there like that. Add a little more blue, a little more yellow. All right, see if I can make a straight line here. Something like that. Never mind that run, that won't hurt anything. All right. Now there's another little tree back there I kind of want to paint around, so I'll do that now. Back into some yellow. I'll spread some of that out with some water here. And then there's some more back in here. I'll get some more blue for that. More blue. Well, sure is a pretty spot to paint. That comes down there. Let's go to a different brush here. Mix up some green. Then there's a fence back over there. I kind of want to paint around that and that tree. So I'll do that right now. There's the tree there, and there's the top of that fence. And right across there. And I'll probably be going back into this area several times before I'm through. Right now, I just kind of want to get the big shapes in there. Something like that. All right, just big shapes. All right, I'm going to paint the trees that are behind the church first. And they're kind of a lighter green than the ones that are in the shade. Just kind of have to remember what to paint around. Throw a little blue in that. A little yellow. Now this tree right here, this some kind of a pine tree of some kind, I'm not sure what it is quite a bit darker, so I don't have to worry about painting around that. And that comes straight down there. Just some odd shapes back in there. Something like that. Throw a little blue in that. Let that spread out. All right. Looking good. Every once in a while you got to reach around and pat yourself on the back, you know. Say it's okay, don't worry about it. Don't get panicked. All right. Now I'm going to see if I can add this pink. These palm trees right here, to me, looking at it from here, they're kind of a pink color. Very slight pink. All right, mix a little alizarin crimson in there. And a little burnt sienna. Kind of a first wash here. Now this area right here is still kind of wet, so I got to paint around that. Now I'll just start up here. I don't want to run into that green there. A little more burnt sienna. And just bring it all the way down. Right down to that sign there. That sign's white, so I'll paint around that. And down into here. You can kind of see how I'm painting around things. And the same over here. Another palm. Right back down in here. And then that goes behind that sign there too. And it ends up back in here someplace. Doesn't have to be exact. All right, I think what I'm going to do at this point is, again, I'm going to have to let everything dry. See, the drying is actually part of the painting whenever you're using watercolor. The drying time is actually part of the painting. I know that sounds funny, but you have to stop and let things dry once in a while to see what is going on. If you keep painting, you get what they call mud. And the reason for that is you keep putting paint on top of paint on top of paint until you can't, the transparency of the watercolor is gone. So stop and let it dry. Walk around. Force yourself to do that. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, I'm back, and this thing is nice and dry. So what I want to do now is I want to put the sky back up in here. I want to paint around that top part of that steeple there with some sky. So I'm getting some of this phthalo blue. Mix some of that up. And get back up in here and kind of paint around this steeple. There, here, here, and back up in here. Kind of spread that back up in there like that. Go ahead and paint behind that dark tree there. Just a little bit of blue back up there. And there's some back over in here too. All right. I think what I'm going to do now is get into this darker tree over here, this pine tree. Let's mix up a nice bluish green color. A little burnt sienna. real dark shapes back in there. Let some of this background color show through. Right alongside that pine tree. Just kind of let the brush do the work. Gotta keep my hand out of the paint. All right. Just some wild brush strokes in there. Takes a little bit of time. Back up here. All right, now while I'm over here, I'm going to go ahead and put some of these palm trees. I think that sky is fairly dry up there, so I can continue up there. It's just a dark color. It's silhouetted against the sky there. What a beautiful day it is today to go and paint. Really pretty spot here. Up in here. And then back down with some of that. I don't think I'm going to add more yellow in here. Maybe that'll help put some light back up in there. I'm just kind of flipping that brush around, letting it do its thing. See that? Isn't that fun? Don't be concerned with trying to make it exactly like what you see over there. Just kind of give the impression. All right, what I want to do now is get into some of these windows. So I'm just going to mix up a dark color. They're putting a few details in there so we can kind of get this thing out in the open. Just a nice, just kind of a dark color, blue and brown. And I'm using kind of a round brush here, so I'm going to go ahead and get into some of these window shapes. Now I have to paint around that one post there. Doesn't have to be exact. It never is anyway. All right. And there's a little plaque right here. I'm going to put that in. And another window over here. That's one of the things about painting on location. You know, the conditions are never really perfect, but there's nothing like it. There's nothing like getting out and painting outdoors. It's just, you're working from the original. And you see a lot more things than you do when you work from photographs. I do work from photographs, but what I usually try to do is make sketches while I'm on location, and then kind of combine all that when I go back to the studio to paint. All right, I'm going to paint the door right there. Just paint that all the way down there. Back here. Paint that little step out there. That's right here. And just some shapes back in here. There and there. All right, I'm going to add a few little squares down in here. There's a multi-pane door right here, and that's kind of, it's open. I kind of like the idea of this church being open, so I'll paint those in. to show that open door. Just little squares like that. All right. Mix up a little bit darker color so I can get back inside of the church here. I want to paint them. There's a little sign in place right here. It's kind of a little stand setting over there. So I'm going to paint that by painting around it. Paint back inside that door again. Comes down there and then there. And then a couple of legs. Just to make a shape down in there. All right. Put some of these louvered places in up here. Doesn't have to be exactly like what's there. It's just enough to show kind of what's happening up there. A few of them over here. And we've got a little lightning rod that comes up that way. I also need to paint, put a little tone on the roof of that steeple up here. Back there. All right. Now I think I'm going to paint that sign over there. That's it says Chapel by the Sea, and then it's got who the Reverend is on there. I'm not going to be able to really show all that. I'm just going to put a shape in there. And then it's got kind of curves up like that. It doesn't have to be exact. Just kind of make some fake looking letters in there. Something like that. And then there's a few lines going this way. There and there. And then just make some fake shapes. Make it look like a sign. All right. Now I need to put this tree in here. I'll mix up just some blues and browns and greens. It needs to be fairly dark over there. After this, after I put this down, I'll come back and put some branches in there. Probably should go to a bigger brush for this too. Get done faster that way. All right, let me put a few branches in there now. Poke some of those out. See, isn't that fun? Well, just a few more details, which I'll probably do at home. Mix up what I've got here in the palette. I need to make more shadow down here on the ground. Really need to show some shade down in here. A lot of blue, a little red, some yellow, burnt sienna, kitchen sink. Yeah, that helps. Nice dark shadows in there. The very tail end of the painting is whenever you start trying to pull everything together. Sometimes you have to make adjustments. It's kind of like life. You go along one way and you say, whoops, wait a minute, I got to go another way. This isn't working. So you just have to take a chance. All right. I like it. I think I'm pretty well done with this one. We had some shadow problems and some light problems today. We had to move out of the shade into the sun, and kind of the sun went in and out of the clouds. That's what painting on location is. You know, you set up and you just keep throwing paint until you're done. I had a lot of fun here, though. I'm on to the next place here on Captiva Island. I'm not sure what that's going to be. So until I see you there, I'm Bob Fagan, and we've been painting on location.
This program is available on video for just $17.95 or $179.95 for the whole 13-part Sanibel Captiva series. Also, Bob has produced 3 one-hour instructional videos on the art of watercolor painting. Each one is available for $19.95 or $36.95 for your choice of 2, or all 3 for $54.95. Call 1-800-353-2232 to order.